catching and less fishing, okay? That's our objective. We've got some new attendees. Let's see, what we'd like for the new attendees to do, just stand up, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then tell us, where you fish and how'd you hear about Team JoJo. First on the list is Jackie Fugel.
Hi everybody, I just moved over to Louisiana and he told me about Team JoJo.
Right.
I'm new at it.
Where you fish?
Well, we fish in the Wrigley's when I haven't gone to very many times, but I think
Mostly the cuts and Lake Shore, but and the trestle side.
Trestle.
Okay. Great.
I'm still trying to learn the area too.
From the dock too.
From the dock, huh? I got you.
Very new.
Great. Good to have you, Jackie. How about Chris Cooper?
I'm Chris Cooper. I fish Delacour, Hopedale, Lafitte, different areas.
Yeah.
But I live in New Orleans.
Okay.
And I seen you on YouTube.
On YouTube?
Yeah, and I was amazed the monster truck you guys came in. Wow.
Yeah.
And then
You gotta go to that.
Yeah, I called him. He will return phone calls. I think I called him at 9 o'clock at night one time.
Who's that?
You.
Me?
Yeah. You got called and you answered the phone. I was like, man, where you catching the truck? Big Poncha train. So I said, all right. Then you text me the information on this meeting.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Good. Great to have you, Chris. Jay and Andrea? Andrea?
Yeah, that's up over here in the corner. I'm old friend of that guy.
Oh, okay.
We went fishing a few years ago. We live in Madisonville now, moved up there from New Orleans. Where do I fish now? Not much. My boat ain't been motored for the last couple of years. But when we do, we fish down by my son in Port Sulphur, Bay Saint Bois, all that area down to Four Bayous. But I grew up cutting my teeth down at the mouth of the river back when there was no marinas down there and there was no GPS and all of that fun stuff. So we used to have a lot of fun down at the rigs and passes.
Great. How about you? All right. Looks like we got two more. Is this y'all's first time, guys?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. I'll get you a sign this again. One of y'all stand up each one at one time and just tell us a little bit about you and where you fish and how you heard about us, okay?
Go first.
Jimmy Burrow, fish regularly, Lake Lawrence, heard about it through Stanley.
Okay, great.
Paul Roseman, retired, got sick, bought a boat, got sick again, got a brand new boat, 3 years old. Met my buddy here at the dentist. We started fishing. I went out this morning, didn't catch nothing. My son said, hey, let's go out fishing. I said, man, I don't know that weather. I said, the water looked kind of rough. And it wasn't so bad that it was rough. It was just dirty. And when you pull up to the point, and you're the only, at 6 o'clock, the only truck there with the trailer, that's right. As rookie as I am, I should have known better, just went back home with a half a son. So I said, hey, let's make a little morning of it before we come here.
Great, great, well, good. Glad to have you. Y'all don't mind, just your name, email address, phone number. Y'all give me a hand.
I'm Greg Norton. I'm a retired engineer out of Dow Chemical, and for the last 33 years I've been a member of the Coast Guard Auxiliary. We're in charge of helping the regular Coast Guard, which is about 20 years old, about like they're just about high school, to do their boating safety gear. So they're not all that good at public speaking, so that's one of the things we do for them. We do patrols. We got some guys that are pilots and go fly missions for them. Do radio operations, fun stuff. Whatever they think of that they don't have people to do, we get to go do it. We don't do any enforcement. I don't have a ticket book. We do vessel safety exams, by the way. That's something, if y'all get together to do a club fishing tournament or something like that, and you'd like to have a federal inspection for your safety gear, we do that. You have little stickers, you can put it on the boat, and if you're not acting the fool at the moment, then generally it gets you a pass on the boarding. So, anyway, that's what we are, who we do. Give
My name's Pete Scamardo. I'm basically what you call a yak. Grew up in the lower ninth ward, fished everywhere from Delaware to Cocodrie, Ray Cornell. I've been all around. I actually married the captain's daughter offshore, so I spent a lot of time offshore, 25 years or so.
Because of that.
Huh?
Because you married the captain's daughter?
No, it was just, hey. Well, I take that back. You know, what would happen is when I go off on a charter and we know places, next thing I know, I'm talking to my buddies, they go, hey, you want to go fishing? Yeah, I can go fishing. Well, good. Where do we want to go? So that happens. But I've been with the Coast Guard Auxiliary for 13 years. I rather enjoy the things that we do. We spend a lot of time interacting with people. The vessel examinations are one of the biggest things that we do. It's free. It's informative. You know, not everybody passes, but at least you know what you're going to need if you get boarded. You know, we spend a lot of time, really, to be honest with you, trying to give people a second thought. Because let's face it, down here in Louisiana, when you're 12 years old, you get a P-Rog and a 6-pack of Dixie. And you gotta, you know, you kind of gotta change that paradigm a little bit, you know, and start thinking about safety, because otherwise we'll get called at 3 o'clock in the morning, and First Light will be out there for what we hope is a search and rescue, but a lot of times turns into a search and recovery.
There you go. So with that in mind, take you on a little middle trip here. So we're gonna schedule our next emergency. It's gonna be next Saturday, the 28th. We're gonna be fishing. We're going down Liberty Bayou, 40 miles an hour, and we're gonna hit a log and put a hole in the boat, and we're gonna launch everybody out of the boat. So here's the exercise. While you're flying through the air before you hit the water, what's that passing through your mind? Man, I sure wish I had
My life vest on.
There's a number of things that probably the first one ought to come into your mind. Listen, I wish I'd played ping pong instead of going fishing. I wish, you know, a lot of things. I wish I had my phone in a waterproof case. I wish I'd told my wife to water the yard before I left. It's gonna be a while to get back.
And you don't get a little sticky note that says in 2 seconds you're gonna fly from the boat. So I'm gonna ask everybody here one quick question. This is how I start when we start teaching boater education. Who in this room can swim when you're unconscious? You can't swim when you're unconscious.
I drive with them.
You are probably the first. You're probably the first one to tell the answer. Yes. The fact of the matter is that you know, we do our vessel exams. First thing I ask for is, where's your personal flotation device? Where's it always there? It's in the front of the boat, up underneath everything, or in the mid cabin. You know, if something happens, how can you get to it? So, the next thing we talk about is fire extinguishers. Okay, fire extinguishers, are they installed, or are they in a box inside of a box, in the back of the bottom? And if you have a boat fire, how do you get to it? Now, most of the time, your fuel tanks are in the rear, engine's in the rear. Where does everybody put the fire extinguisher? In the rear. You know, you want to have it situated so that you can get to it. And you want to make sure that if you're going to mount it, don't mount it horizontal. Mount it vertical. Really? The reason why is because that's a dry compound. And remember, you're going to take it out in the boat. What's going to happen? You're pounding on the waves, and what's happening is you're pounding that prowler down and down and down. So mounting it sideways keeps it clean and clear and ready to go.
Mounted sideways and not vertical.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did I say that backwards? It was a test. I'm glad you passed.
Not vertical.
No, vertical, horizontal.
Okay, even though a lot of the islands have
If you mount it vertical, it stays charged longer, but it doesn't always
recess for it
function.
to go.
Yes, and that makes it stay a little longer. You know, you don't wanna open up and have the fire and have the half a pound or the full pound thing go out because it's all compacted.
See, if you have a fire every week, you don't have to worry about that, because you'll be getting a new fire extinguisher every week. But if it's been 10 years since you had a fire, or you've never had a fire, and you bought it 15 years ago, by the way, one of the new laws is that there is a lifetime on your fire extinguisher. It used to be, if it just held pressure, it was still good to go. Anyway, they're printing in the metal on the bottom of the fire extinguisher. They've got it embossed. That's the date it was manufactured. You've got, drawing blank, 20 years? 12 years. 12 years. And then it doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter if the paint is still shiny. It doesn't have any mud water stuff in the nozzle or whatever. At 12 years, it's time to go and put another one in.
When did this law go into effect?
About 2 years ago.
I just got checked, and he just looked at the pressure.
Yep.
That's what you call old hat.
It's taking a while to get around.
You know, if you get a new coastie he's holding the book, then you know that guy's gonna pick it out.
So I need to go buy it.
If you have
Yes.
a regular, like, fire extinguisher, not like a marine one, and
Right.
it gets inspected every year, and it gets taken apart, recharged 6 years, and hydrate tested at 12.
Okay.
Still,
So it's
It depends on what rating it has, because you have to have a certain, it's gotta be rated marine.
okay.
Okay, if it's not rated marine, then it's for something else, like a wood fire or whatever. It may not be set up for chemical and gasoline.
Okay, well, ABC,
I'm sorry?
ABC,
Yeah.
And how many pounds is it?
5.
5 pounds. That's a good size, as long as the boat's not 80 feet long.
Yeah.
So anyway, by the way, I brought a whole boat show worth of pamphlets here, so your tax dollars will work. You got some of them back today. There's a slip in there, it's got all the QR codes on there. And so, they've got all kinds of good stuff to add on your phone. You should have, and I heard some people talking about it, you ought to have a weather app in there, you ought to have a navigation app, it'd be nice to have a compass app, a little backup doesn't hurt. I've got one that has the compass with a latitude and longitude on it, so I've got GPS backup out of that. Anyway, so that's these, all of these. If you can figure out what to do with the QR code, they're all taking places that have all kinds of good voting information in there. Some of them you may want to add to your phone. You may already have the ones you need, but here's some ideas.
One of the more important ones is the federal regulations. Federal regulations are one of these things where they're all 50 states, anywhere you want to go. Pardon me. They don't get it. Anyway. Another thought, real quick, is with regard to flares. Now, I've seen people pull out flares, they pull out railroad flares, they pull out stuff that was made in the 60s. You have to understand that flares have an expiration date as well. All right, usually 4 years. A lot of times you'll go to a sporting goods store, you grab a bag of them out there, you need to check the dates on those. Because those people don't understand that there are expiration dates on it, and they could be selling you an expired set each time. There is a new electronic pyrotechnic flare that you can purchase. It's about $85, give or take, I think. And it really, when you start thinking about the fact that you're going to spend $45 or $50 for a set of flares that is going to expire, the pyrotechnic will be much easier, less on the wallet, I guess is the best way to put it. Also, a couple of years ago, they started with the what they call an ECOS.
Emergency cutoff.
Yeah, emergency cutoff switch. Yeah. Now, if you have an emergency cutoff switch on your motors or on you are required to be connected to them. No longer it's optional. You've got to be done. And so if your boat has it where the electronic controls are, you must wear it at all times when you're operating the boat. Whoever's the operator has to have that. Because if you go overboard, the pitch on your motor is going to determine whether it goes to the right of the circle or left of the circle. And what they call that is the circle of death. Because what happens is you go around and around and around until they get you. You know, so that's one of the things that we really been talking a lot about is cutoff switches.
What do you do with old flares?
Proper disposal of them is probably to take them when the parish has one of these days where you bring out chemicals and all this other stuff. That would be, or either that or find a time where everybody's going to be together, call and set them off, get them done.
New Year, the 4th of July, just shoot.
Yeah, 4th of July.
4th of July is coming up, you have a good fireworks show.
I have, supposedly some of the fire departments will accept it, but none of them I've ever asked. I've got some flares. Well, congratulations, here's some more. We have our own flares, and you can take whatever you figure out what to do with those, you can do with ours too.
Yeah.
So what I have, because I had a bunch, as I was collecting them, we were going to do a thing for the Boy Scouts, and the Boy Scouts, the parents didn't want their kids playing with flares, because those things it's a metal fire in a tube, right? And so you can basically weld with the flare, you drop it in the water, it'll burn all the way to the bottom, because it's hot enough, it disassociates the water, so it makes its own oxygen and all that. It's bad stuff. So they didn't want their kids playing with it, so they canceled that. I had a whole pile I collected for a couple of years. I think it was a couple of years now. Anyway, so I got me a drum and filled it full of water, and I threw them all in there, and I put them in the back of the yard. And 6 weeks later, I came back, and those that were all floppy like a noodle, I knew were good to go, or good not to go. I had some that were still stiff. Had a couple of Solas flares, the big ones off the big boats. And that was probably a bad idea, but I drilled some holes in them so the water could get into the middle canisters, and then threw them back in the drum. So it was like a 3-month process, but I did finally get rid of all of them. But that was the hard way to do it.
Yes.
I don't know if y'all covered this already, but I carry a handheld VHF radio.
Yes.
Rechargeable. If you're in a Biloxi Marsh or something like that, are those handhelds? Can the Coast Guard hear those?
Yes.
Okay.
Trust me, they can hear all the way around. They have a system called Rescue 21 that specifically listens for all of those areas, and there are repeaters all through areas. And so, yes, as small as it can be, it's sometimes better than a cell phone.
Yeah, cell phones, mine don't work. It doesn't work at all.
Now, you're not going to be able to receive them, or you may be in a place where you can't receive them. They may well be listening to you just fine, and they do record everything that comes in. So if it's broken or whatever, or a weak signal, they go back and replay it. It's all one take.
I don't know if you remember last year, people were fishing offshore, boat sank, and the guy had a cell phone, and he was able to hold up the cell phone and get a connection for, I want to say 2 seconds, and the Coast Guard was able to triangulate and get to him and save him.
What about lithium batteries? Have y'all put any regulations on lithium batteries because of the fire situations?
I haven't seen anything yet come out on it, but I know it's a concern. And I think that's everybody's concern, because everybody's got power tools and cordless stuff. Yeah. Yes, sir.
I'm going to show my age. In the old days, you used to have flares and smoke devices, and I've noticed that when you go to get new flares, it says you don't have, this is all you need. Is that true? The smoke devices have gone away?
Depending on the length of the boat.
Yeah.
But yes, it's just 3 marine-based flares.
And it's how about the guns?
Yeah, those are still good.
That counts as your flares if you have the gun?
Yes.
So there's a difference between what the law requires and what it may take to save your butt.
Yeah.
Right. So and that's why they're in packs of 3. Although I did notice they're putting them in packs of 4 now, so they can sell you an extra 20. All right.
Well,
so
I'm obnoxious. I carry 6 handhelds and 6 12-gauge.
And that may be what it takes to get yourself back on land, right? So the whole system as it's designed is the aerial flares are to attract attention, because for the most part, particularly the 12-gauge shears, they've got a burn time of 6 seconds. So don't be looking the wrong way. Oh, look at the money, because
Don't put fireworks.
the guy that shot a flare, it's already dead now. So take that into account on how many flares you carry and what flares you carry. The big 25 millimeter ones that the Solas, the offshore guys, the cruise boats, it kicks like shotgun when you shoot. You better have both hands on that.
It's a 12 gauge.
Yeah, the 12 gauge will kick enough to knock it out of your hand. So the Solas flares, the expensive one, $125 a shot ones, will get like 1,000 feet in the air. They got a parachute, so they illuminate for like 3 minutes. So you've got a pretty good chance of somebody seeing that. And a lot of people have been saved from those 12 gauge shells at 6 seconds at a time. All you got to have is somebody that's watching at the time. But 3 is the number. Whatever the flare is, 3 is the number. That's the magic number. And so then you have to decide for yourself: is that enough? Do I want to keep 12? Keep 150? I don't know. You know how your luck runs. I know how my luck runs. I've got 15 flares, and half of them are the 12 gauge shots, and half of them are the handheld.
When I'm going to buy flares, what do I look for? Are they all the same, or
You
I got a
wanna have-
15-foot boat?
Day-night flares.
Just night flares.
Day-night flares, and like I said, you want to be able to look and see the expiration dates fresh on them. Because if you're pulling them and it's 2 years away, you're not getting your full money's worth. Another thing we want to talk about too, real quick, is everybody is so secretive about where they fish. I think they want to take all their spots to the grave. But on that note, do you use a float plan? All right. You need to tell somebody where you're going, how long you're going to be, where you're launching at, and when you plan to return. All right. And the reason why we do this is because if we have to come find you, all right, that information is crucial. If you try to go, let's say we're going to do Lake Bourne. Okay, Lake Bourne's a big lake. Okay, and it's easy to get out and go further out. When they start, they're going to start with where you launched. And if they don't know the latitudes and longitudes on where you fish, they're going to create a circle, and it's going to be one way that gets bigger and it gets bigger, which means that it's going to be time consuming. And time is of the essence if you broke down. Anybody that's ever broke down in the evening time and had to endure the mosquitoes, okay?
Wait till tomorrow for some.
Yeah, it's brutal out there, because they're unforgiving. If anybody has medical issues, that's another thing too. A lot of times we need to know this. So give it to your wife or significant other or whatever it is. Give it to a buddy you trust that he's not going to give away.
Your
all
mother-in-law
those
may
things.
not be the right person to give that to. You got somebody that's a whole lot of money, he's the guy you want.
Now,
He's the guy you want.
there are apps on the phone. There are apps that you can put there that you can build a float plan from. Coast Guard has one that you can download, and you put the float plan in, and you punch it in, and that way it's there when you need it. They know where they collect that data in case something's up, what you're doing. Latitudes and longitudes are really important. So if you got a fishing fit, if that's where you're going to be at, because let's face it, we always have one more cast, which is about 100 casts more than we really should be. Okay, and even then, you really don't want to stop at 100. You want to go a little more. If something happens and you have a problem with the batteries, or you have a problem with your engine, all right, and you're stuck out there, time becomes crucial at that point. So if someone knows you're supposed to be back by 6 o'clock, and it's 6:15, it's time to notify the Coast Guard. Let them come find you.
I was talking to the wildlife fisheries at one point in time. He says this is how an overdue fisherman case goes. So the wife calls and says he's out fishing. Well, I think he's in Lake Pontchartrain. Okay. What color truck does he drive, and what's the license plate number? So the first thing they do is they drive around to all the fishing launches, and they look for a red truck with the XYZ123 license plate. If they don't find it, they go to the next launch. So they spend an hour or 2 or 3 just looking for where your launch point was. So then they say, okay, well, we found the truck, And a lot of times they find the truck down at Joe's bar, and now you're in the world of hurt because that's not where you're supposed to be. Anyway, so they look for you first on land because that's easy enough to do. They find out where you might be, and then they start searching. So now you're talking, you guarantee if they're the luckiest guys in the world, and so are you, they can just, they kick you out there. It turns out you're only 10 feet off the dock and too lazy to paddle in, and there you are. So that's how people get rescued in a little bit of time. Likely you're off, you motored for 30, 40 minutes, and then you took a left, and you stopped a little bit, and you went, and then now you're in this little bayou that you've never been before because you wanted to try it out. And so now all of a sudden it starts to take 3 and 4 days, and it starts to take 3 and 4 days, then they're going to call you most likely dead.
And if they launch a helicopter burns about $30,000 an hour. All right. Another quick side note: look at your numbers. Numbers are supposed to contrast. Okay, I know a lot of people got these beautiful shiny boats and they're nice reds and they're dark, and the numbers that they've got are nice dark numbers too. So if someone with a helicopter is trying to find you by the numbers, they're not going to do it. They should stand out so that you can read them at night in the dark. And that way it helps you survive. So those are some of the things that I think are important. Does anybody else have any more questions? Yes.
What's the determination of when to call CTO or when to call the Coast Guard?
I was gonna ask the same question.
When do y'all get mad when somebody calls?
Here's the thing, okay? CTO's less than $200, I think now, give or take. All right, that's an insurance policy that everybody really ought to have. Because if you call them out and you're not a member, don't bring 20, bring plenty. There could be a lot of it, okay? Coast Guard will go out there and get you. But by our standards, if there's a commercial person available, they have to have first dibs on it. All right? If you don't want CTO, you don't have the money for it, ultimately you're going to get towed in. But the fact of the matter is I have to go through Sector, New Orleans, and get permission to do that. But we hang around until somebody comes. So it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. But for the little bit of money you're going to spend on CTO or Boat USA, I think, or one of those other ones, it's well worth it.
So the Coast Guard, because there was some years back, and maybe a bunch of years back now, depending on your point of view, one of the towers, big towers, sued the Coast Guard for using taxpayer funds to upset their business. So there's a non-compete memorandum of understanding signed between the Coast Guard and the towing industry that says that we will give them for a shot. The Coast Guard is in charge of saving the people. If you got a people problem, somebody's bleeding out, somebody's got a health problem, whatever, they're on it. But they're not in charge of bringing your boat back. So if you leave your boat behind without a twinge of conscience, and under certain circumstances, that's exactly the right thing to do, right? So if you want the people saved, call the Coast Guard. If you want your boat saved, call CTO. So related, I mean, give me half a second here because I got to go around the whole world to get to my point here. Is that how many of y'all keep VHF radios on your boat? Good. How many of you have got them hooked to your GPS? Good. How many of them have that little button on there that says emergency? Push in case of emergency. That button doesn't do you a bit of good unless you're attached to the GPS or buy the expensive radio that has a GPS in it. Because what it does is it calls up your latitude and longitude, sends it to the Coast Guard. So there's no more search. They just go pick you up because they know exactly where you're at. So particularly if you've got GPS and a radio of the same brand, it's just a $20 cord. They'll say, and you plug one into one and one into the other, and now they both talk to each other. If you push the button, and the note comes up on the screen in New Orleans, it says, Joe's boat is having a problem. He just sent an SOS. This is where he's at. This is what his boat looks like. This is the color of boat it is. This is where he lives. This is his point of contact. Blah blah blah. So you enter all that stuff. It all comes up. They know who you are, they know where you
Now,
are.
just a side note, okay, a lot of times we get this information and the boat is located at the house. There's no such thing as testing this the way you should. So you test it and they look at it and the next thing you know, you get a phone call. Can you drive over and tell them that you don't do that anymore?
Turn that thing off.
Turn that thing off, yeah.
Yeah, we carry, everyone in the Coast Guard Auxiliary carries one of these, and Coast Guard also in their life jacket. It's a little PLB.
Personal e-perk?
Yep. It floats. Actually, this one doesn't float. That's what the little sock is for, so it'll float. So it's got a Velcro on the back. If you've got a Type 2 life jacket, it'll have a piece of Velcro right here. That's so you can stick that right there. Doesn't work if it's underwater. The antenna's got to be out of the water, or else it grounds the antenna and you're not getting any signal. So this is an EPIRB in pocket size, right? So you
Don't
push
hit the log if you're wearing that.
Say again?
Don't hit the log if
Yeah, if you're
wearing that.
Yeah, on the way out of the boat, don't hit your head and don't hit your GPS.
Yeah.
So,
That-
yes, sir.
You monitor those constantly?
The Coast Guard does. There's
Yeah.
there's a group up in Pennsylvania. It's a clearing site for it.
Yeah.
So it hits the
Satellite.
goes down to Pennsylvania. They say, well, where is it from? And then they send it down to New Orleans.
24/7.
24/7.
Gotcha.
So
Now that does have a test button on it,
Yeah.
so you can check the battery. The battery's good for like,
yeah,
You can get them online.
not Home Depot, but Academy. All the fishing stores.
Now, you do have to
They're not
register
much
it.
more- They're not much more.
You
than
do have to
flavor.
register it with NOAA.
How much are they?
Around $200.
Yeah.
give or take.
You can get them anywhere from 200 to 1,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this is Coast Guard, this is taxpayer money, this is the lowest bid,
Yeah.
lowest bid contract kind of thing. So this would probably cost $47.27, but they sold 10 million of it once.
One other thing I thought I would bring up before we finish is that, you know, as a general rule, adults don't like wearing life jackets. I want to circle back to that. Maybe it's because the life jacket that you have that makes you look like Weekend at Bernie's, you know, or it's 15 years old but it's still in pristine shape. You know, get something that you like. Same thing with kids, okay? If a kid wants Lightning McQueen on his kid for him because he's going to wear it, and he's going to look to you, all right? If you're not wearing it, he's not going to want to wear it, or she. You know, kids under 16 and under are required to wear at least a Type 3 life jacket. All right.
26-foot.
We had a lady come up to us a couple of years ago, and she had a 10-year-old, and she hands me one of the inflatables, and the waist is like this, and I said, ma'am, I said, this doesn't, I said, you're not putting this on a child, are you? She goes, yeah, that's my 10-year-old. I said, well, ma'am, that's not legal. I said, if you get out there and they see an inflatable on a child, they're coming right for you, because they don't like that endangerment when it comes to young ones. When they get on a boat, if you're on there and if they wear it, you wear it. If you wear it, they'll wear it. You know, it's an impression thing that's going to go with it. When you're underway, no, when you're fishing, I know sometimes it's a little bit difficult, but they do make some life vests that give you a lot of freedom. Looks like a Type 5 work vest, but it'll keep you afloat if you happen to go over. You know, get the size and get the type that you're comfortable with, but wear it. There's no shame in it. Again, here we deal with the paradigm, you know, nobody wear it. If you see somebody wearing a life vest, they can't swim. No, that's not really the case. They can't swim unconscious.
Since you brought that up and mentioned it, I'm gonna ask your opinion of the automatically inflatables.
Well, I got a story to tell.
All right?
About 5 years ago, the Coast Guard went out and bought inflatables for all of their boarding crew. Wow, brand new thing, you guys don't worry about heat exhaustion, all that stuff anymore. They went blah, blah, blah. And then a year after that, they came and said, we're not going to use these anymore. Would the auxiliary like them? So they gave us all these used, and then 6 months later they came back and said, no, you can't use them. Just throw them away. tear them up, throw them, it was, $100,000 worth of stuff. So, they made the judgment. I wasn't on the inside of that, but I saw the outside. They used them for a year, decided they wasn't doing the job for them, and they gave them away to us, and then they told us not to use them. And they said, oh, no, there's one brand that you can use, but we won't tell you what it is, and we're not gonna authorize it. We're not gonna buy it for you, and, et cetera, et cetera.
And if you have to put a replacement kit on it, it's on your dime.
So,
Are you talking about the CO2 torches?
yes, CO2, and then the little pill that goes in there that auto-inflates it. Or not auto-inflates, but triggers it off. It's like, I call it aspirin or whatever, it's made out of chalk or something.
Because we all have them and we wear them.
Yep. Yeah. Have you ever set yours off?
Huh?
Have you ever set yours off?
I have.
Yes.
Can you breathe with it on?
What?
I didn't.
They work.
Water that long.
Well, the old ones, the first versions that came out were so overinflated, they would come up and pinch you around the
No,
neck.
I had no problem with mine at all when they do it.
Good, you had a good design then. So.
We also carry the other kind of life jackets at the same time. But as you said, they're in the compartment in the front.
Underneath the floor of the boat.
But we wear the inflatables.
Well, that's fine.
Yeah, if you got one and you do your inspections like you're supposed to, because if they hadn't been inspected in a year, it does not count as PFD when they're doing count. So you got 8 people on the boat and you need 8 PFDs. They say, oh, but we can't count this one and we can't count that one. And so now you have 6 people.
I also understood that inflatables only counted if you had it on.
Yes.
That if it's in the boat, it doesn't
Yes,
count.
it's impossible. It's hard enough to put on a regular life jacket.
Yeah.
If you're in the water.
Oh, yeah.
It ain't on when you leave the boat.
Yeah.
But it's nearly impossible to put the life, it's all kind of a mess.
Where can you get them inspected?
Well, the inspection has to, it's a year on the tablet and on the CO2 cartridge.
Yeah.
And they've got, it's like flares, they've got a date on it.
Yeah.
So, what they'll inspect it, they'll look at the cavity and they'll look at the CO2
So
cartridge.
if it's out of date, you better replace it.
Yeah.
Well, it shows you green.
Gentlemen.
Yes. But your fractions do the same thing, but it can be out too.
Go ahead.
Yeah, there was an incident several years back, which was like, opened my eyes. We used to wear the ones they said you pull, inflate. The older ones was with the styrofoam or whatever, those big orange ones. There was a man and his son going down Bayou Terrebonne. Very, very foggy. They waited. They were hugging the shore. Just when they got by P-10, a bay boat came out, tore the boat, basically tore them in half. Both of them had their jackets on, and both were ejected. They thought that they drowned. They thought that they died because the kid had a gash in his head from hitting the cleat when he was ejected. The dad hit the cleat in the front, almost disemboweled. But the point is that I realized that when they were there, we saw them when they brought the bodies in by Sweetwater, that the manual inflation ones isn't worth a damn. If you hit your head or something, you hit something, you're not going to have the consciousness to pull it. There's a life preserver made by Mustang.
Yeah.
It's HIT. It's hydrostatic. It's pressure. Expensive, $200, $220. Once there's a pressure drop of 2 pounds or 2 pounds, it deploys. The ones with the wafer, a friend of mine had 4 of them in his console, and his kid always power washed the boat. And those things got wet. And then one night, all 4 of them exploded, literally busted open his console. So ever since then, I've developed vertigo, and I'm very, very conscious of wearing the one with the hydrostatic, the HIT, as compared to the MIT. The MIT has a pull and a little aspirin. But if you look at the program, I know all of us have watched Deadliest Catch. All these guys wear the ones with the HIT. They're constantly getting wet, but they don't deploy. But once there's a pressure drop, if they go overboard, I think it's a 2 pound or 2 degrees of pressure, then it deploys. But it also has the pull cord on it. But it's just FYI. I've eventually replaced all my other ones to the veterans. Yes, they're expensive, but what's the value you put on your life and you pass?
There you go.
I got Jerry wearing, when he comes with me, I don't care who it is. If you don't wear them, I have 4 or 5 of them. You don't wear with me, get out of my boat. You're not coming with me. It's just FYI. I mean, I'm not bragging about it because I have these things, but it's something to think about.
What about kids' life preservers? I know they make the ones that, just like a life vest, like a swimming one almost. Is that legal for kids up to 16?
You wanna see that it's Coast Guard rated.
Okay.
That's the biggest key on, see that it's Coast Guard rated.
Right.
And then, you know, cause some of them are not. They're
Yeah, they're just
basically inflatables that you can buy real inexpensive. Yeah, pool stuff, you know? But those are not gonna work out there.
But if it says Coast Guard rated, you're good to go.
Coast Guard rated. Now, another thing on the Coast Guard rating, some of them are speed rated as well. All right, because if you got a Sea-Doo or one of these other things, you need a high rated vest. You can't use a regular vest because the speed could tend to rip it apart.
Yeah, so the ones that have 3 and 4 buckles across, they got one's got 1 buckle on there. I think the default is 35 miles an hour. So if you hit the water,
yeah.
First of all, it's not going to be a lot of fun to hit the water higher than 35 miles an hour. Like a brick. It may tear the The ones that got the 4 buckles on there, they're rated up to 90. So the problem with that is you get the water going 90 miles an hour, and they will find your skull inside that life jacket. Life jacket will be fine. You may be ripped to pieces, but that's a side story.
The model number, anybody's interested with the Mustang, is M3183. It has a very, very narrow strap. It comes around. We wear it during the summertime, 100, 105 degrees. It's one of the most comfortable life vests I've ever worn.
So one of the things to think about when you're choosing your life jacket is one that'll be comfortable, one you can move in. But the Type 3 life jacket's got 17 pounds of flotation. So you float in the water about here. The Type 2 has 21 pounds of flotation. You float in the water about here. The Type 3 has got 25 pounds of the offshore, and so you float about here. So if you're going to be out overnight in the water, where you want to be? You want to be right here? You want to be down here? So
I don't want to be in the
water.
None of these.
Well,
I got a right-of-way question.
Yes.
How do you tell which boat has the right-of-way?
That's why I put some, because I knew we weren't going to get to everything, because I got sent this list. It's about that long. It'll take 3 days to go over. But one of the brochures I passed out, the rules of the road on the road, the concrete road in America, are based on the rules of the road for water. So when you're crossing, think of it as a 4-way stop sign. So what do you do at a 4-way stop sign? You yield to the guy on the right. The same thing in the road. You yield to the guy on the right. The guy on your left is supposed to yield to you.
Let me give you another scenario. Going down Biolutri, main bayou.
Yep.
I'm coming from the Twin Pipeline. This guy's in a 27 foot boat on his phone, and he's turning into my canal. Who has the right of way?
He's turning from the right or turning from the left?
He's in the main canal. I'm here.
Right.
He turns this way to where I'm at.
He's
He's going to run into me. I can calculate by his thing. He's going to run into me. So I hit the shoreline.
So you got your lights are on.
No, daylight.
Red light.
Daylight.
Well, it's going to be the same thing one way or the other. You have the right of way.
Coast Guard told me I do not have the right of way because he's in the main bayou and I'm coming from a tributary.
Yep.
The main bayou has the right of way.
Rule 9.
There you go.
Section E-I. I looked it up because that's one of the questions they got asked in that long list of questions.
Generally.
In a narrow channel or fairway, vessel crossing a narrow channel or fairway, if such crossing impedes the passage of a vessel which can safely navigate only within that channel or fairway, then it is prohibited. So, if it's a narrow channel, you got to stay in the deep part. You're not supposed to, if you're coming in from the side or you're crossing from a smaller bayou, you're not supposed to impede the traffic in the main channel. But does that mean you can stand on principle until they all run into each other, right?
I'm sure the attorneys would figure it out. You know,
Yeah.
So there's a rule for that.
So
There's a rule for that. Whenever you notice that somebody isn't following the rule, you take whatever necessary
Yes.
precautions
Yeah.
to avoid the rule.
Yeah, yeah, so, and so, they don't, the words right away are not in this book at all. They got burdened and privileged. So burdened means you have to do something that you may not want to do. Privileged means you can stand there and see if the guy gets to do it, and if not, then you become burdened also. So the idea, the net root idea is boats don't run into each other. Boats don't run into bridges. They don't run aground, blah, blah, blah. So all of these rules are for that. Doesn't always sit well with your ego. I ought to be able to go. Well, yes, you should. But, what are you going to run this guy over to go do it? Nah, that's not a good idea. So you end up in Marine Court. Marine Court generally does the results in a Marine Court. It's a different kind of place. You got different rights in a Marine Court than you do in a legal court or a land court, whatever you want to call them. And so their judgment is in percentages. What the sense is, okay, you guys, here's the situation, and this guy was supposed to do this, and he didn't do it, and then you ran into him. So we decide that he is 60% at fault, and you are 40% at fault. So there's no 100% ever. So everybody gets a piece of it. So it's not like they're going to vindicate you and say, oh, bad, 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 good, 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 good. They're saying a little bit less good and a little bit more bad. So it's not a place you want to be anyway, because you're not going to like how it turns out.
All right, guys, look, let's give them a hand. We're running. Thank you. And they'll be here for a little while, so if you got any more questions, just come on up and ask, okay?
Coast Guard Auxiliary is always looking for membership. We do all this training for our own guys that we just kind of touched on today. Which is the reason I joined, to get trained up, so I know what the heck I'm doing. I like knowing what I'm doing. So give that a try.
All right, guys, we're at the point where we're going to discuss our past conditions for the last month and where we've been and what we found. Unfortunately, I haven't been on the water too much this last month because of the weather and also because of vacation. So a little bit I got is we've done a little bit of fishing in the lake along the trestles. Trout seem to still be there. We probably, if it's anything like last year, they'll probably be there till around July, some part of July. We also caught a few in Lake Bourne, and that's about it. We've made a few trips out to the rocks. We were not successful out there, the long rocks. That's about all the trips we really made. Boss, did you make any? Oh, you made a trip to Delacroix, and
No.
water's still.
Papa went out Friday.
Yeah.
Up some redfish pond.
I went Saturday and I went yesterday. Saturday, 45 minutes, I got my limit on bread. Yesterday, I had to fish until 10 o'clock to get full bread.
Yeah. Anybody else got any fishing reports? I mean, anybody been fishing? Huh?
It's a train trestle, it's so much more popular fishing-wise than I-10 area, and, because I know, I fish I-10, then I go to train trestle.
Yeah.
And murder them, but then I go over, I don't have too much fun on I-10 or anything.
Yeah.
Why is that so much more popular for people?
Boss, you got an answer for that one? I mean, I
Say
kind of
again?
know what I think. He was asking about why is the trestles more popular than the other bridges?
Because it is needed.
You got more obstruction, more piles there, probably been there a while.
The I-10,
Creates more turbulence in the water.
Right.
and they're kind of in line, so you fish them differently, but it's just not, I mean, the trestles are popular because it's columns like every 10 feet.
Yeah, but you fish 11 highway 11 bridges in 5 foot, so is that next to it?
Yes, a lot of people fish those a little bit faster, don't spend too much time on, but it's the same thing. The columns are a little bit further, but not small.
Yeah. I think that's one of the reasons. The other reason, trestles has been there quite a long time, so I'm sure there's a lot of barnacle buildup and everything that they,
They got some of the
fish,
old bridge under the
and they still got some of the old bridge.
Your laptop's not charging, your battery's down to maybe 25%.
Oh, okay.
Right there.
There's
You got
rocks
your
that
charger?
fall off.
I get it.
I'm not
Yeah.
sure if there's a shell pad. I've never heard anybody say that.
one of the articles I read, maybe it's Louisiana Sportsman, but that's, I mean, that railroad is old.
Yeah,
Like
no,
from
definitely.
1800s or
Right.
About the rock. I think
Right.
they used to build them with creosote.
Those creosote posts are still down.
Right.
And they have to replace it, they have to move it here, then they have to move it here when they
Right.
rebuild it. And
Right.
I think maybe the last iteration, there was like shelves.
Right.
To keep the posts from.
Were you in Lake, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
were you in Lake P this morning, Lake Pontchartrain,
They punch right, yeah.
by the trestles?
Yes, sir.
What was the clarity of the water, what did it look like?
Brown, it was dirty.
Dirty?
Dirty. When you always go out there on the weekend? Yeah, and I figured that. I figured that in the rain, but I had my son with me. He said, "Put the fish," I said, "When I get out."
Put salt water.
When y'all troll the lake, do you troll it with the tide coming through the bridge, on which side do you troll?
Yes.
The trolling, I mean, Boss likes the west side of the bridge, no matter which way the tide's rolling. Yeah, I mean, for trolling, you know, jigging's a different situation.
When you jig.
Huh? When you jig, you're jigging, you know, you want the bait to come back to you, so whatever side you're gonna be on with the tide, yeah, it's coming back to you. Yeah. To finish answering your question though is, that's okay. I think that's the main reason is because of the obstructions that they got down there. And of course, as many piles as they got. You know, if you get at any of those other bridges, there's not nearly as many piles as there is at the trestle. So the fish tend to hang out there, the bait fish tend to hang out there, you know, and that's what keeps the fish there.
You also might hook the rod reel.
What's that, John?
You also may hook the rod reel.
Yeah, that's true too. I haven't picked up two so far.
So if you just have to go fishing this coming week with all the high rivers and stuff, where would you, if you just had to get out, where would you go to?
You got to go to find clean water. So wherever that's going to be. I mean, you know, with all the water draining into the lake right now, it's going to be really tough. You know, but of course, then you got to consider. I mean, Boss and I have been out there several times where the top of the water didn't look very good, but we were still catching fish because that fresh water tends to sit on top of the salt water. So if you get deep enough water, you know, the bottom could be clear. Okay, there's no way of knowing that unless you go out there and try it. But, you know, the other thing I would say is that, you know, excluding the lake, I mean, you're going to want areas that definitely have areas that are funneling that water through canals and stuff up in the marsh so that they have the chance to aerate that stuff and the silt tends to sit down. So if you get further down in the marsh, you're going to find clear water, you know. Any other questions?
That's the problem with Delaware right now. I can't find no clean water. Where we fish at, there's no fish there. It's dirty.
Yeah.
think that's why Long Rock's are dirty too?
The Long Rock, we were out at the Long Rock the other day. It didn't look too good.
I think it's related, like Delaware.
Yes.
No. That's right.
You got to block tide flow. You got to block tide flow on the Long Rock. You don't get a tide flow on the Long Rock like you used to.
I mean, I think Delacroix is a whole different issue, guys, because, I mean, this is my only personal opinion, is because of all of that restoration work they're doing as far as dredging and everything, trying to rebuild the marsh, you know, and all of that, you know, they're mixing all of it up, and all of that has to filter out, so it all filters out everywhere, and it's just, it stayed dirty in Delacroix. I mean, there was only a little portion of time,
Grand Lake has two big pipes going across it.
Yeah.
And they have a section that says you can go through the pipes, but it runs from the shoreline to maybe 4 miles, all the way across Grand Lake. And they're pumping all that sand up in there, which has got the water filtering.
Anybody else got anything as far as where have they been making any trips this month?
Anybody been doing any crabbing anywhere? Anybody crabs? Nobody crabs anymore?
Yeah, crabs too. I crabbed off 11. I had my daughter with me, I picked some crabs. Take it easy.
'Cause I think the crabs are starting to be turned on right now, you know?
All over the internet, they show them, they always kept them like crazy.
Yeah, I went
Big
and
crab.
grabbed one on Harbor Pier in Mississippi, and, took me about 6 hours to get 14 crabs out of 18 nets. And they all have to be 5 inches across.
Right.
So I threw a bunch of others back.
And then the migration starts to take place. Is there any sizable notice of schools going through the Louisiana Valley? Because apparently there must be going this way gone, looking for high content.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely, that's one of the routes they go. Yeah, Pearl kind of dictates that. Yeah. Yeah. And, yeah, salinity, I mean, I would imagine, I haven't looked at something in the lake right now, but it's got to be way down from where it was. You know? Yeah, where it was. So each year is kind of different, you know, it's not, it just depends on what the weather's doing, you know. Like I said, last year, it was a long year. I mean, we were catching them on the trestles till mid-July, you know, which is usually a little uncommon, you know. Right. I mean, I personally have the philosophy that some people have, that there are speckled trout that never leave the lake, okay? I think it's a class of trout that may change, okay?
That's the winner of the custom rod, folks, right there.
One member off.
You live here in Slidell?
That's the creator of the custom rod, Big T Dot, and the winner.
He made me one of those.
This one. But I was sitting there one day, and this, I think it's a 33 gram cartridge, dropped out of the bottom of the vest. I go, well, what you doing that for? And my friend goes, you dummy, you were supposed to screw it in and arm the thing. So the whole time, I'm running around. So I may not, I'm sure I'm not the only person that's stupid. Even though there's instructions that didn't quite make a lot of sense. Found out there's a little zipper on it. There's a whistle in there too. Didn't know that either. So I'm just saying, check and make sure, because this was in the side that didn't have all the equipment on it. It was in the other side of the vest. You know.
Now, what name brand is that? What name brand is that?
One in your bag too, markers in your bag.
This one, let's see, Donovan Green bought almost everything Mustang had except one type of, this is Marpac, that's a Donovan Chinese thing. And it fell out the bottom on one side. And that's when, you know, and this is, oh, there's the whistle. There's also, I didn't even notice that was there on the backside.
Oh,